Book of Heaven, Volume 20, Part 14. December 22nd, 1926. Signs that one belongs to the celestial family. How it is God's usual way to do his works first one-on-one with one creature. So he did with his mama. The greater is the work that Jesus does, the more it carries within itself the image of the divine unity. I was thinking about the Supreme Fiat and was praying, my sweet Jesus, to give me the grace, so great, of making me fulfill his most holy will entirely and completely, and of making it known to the whole world, so that he might be reintegrated in the glory that creatures deny him. Now, while I was thinking of this and other things, sweet Jesus moved in my interior and told me, "My daughter, what is the purpose for which you want my will to be fulfilled in you and to be known by all?" And I want it because you want it. I want it so that the divine order and your kingdom may be established on earth. I want it so that the human family may no longer live as estranged from you, but it may be bound once again to the divine family from which it had its origin. And Jesus, sighing, added, "My daughter, your purpose and mine are one." When a son has the same purpose as his father, he wants what his father wants. He never dwells in somebody else's home. He works in the fields of his Father. And if he finds himself with people, he speaks of the goodness, of the ingenuity, of the great purposes of his Father. It is said of this Son that he loves his Father, that he is the perfect copy of him, that it shows clearly from all sides that he belongs to that family, that he is a worthy son who carries within himself, with honor, the generation of his Father. Such are the signs that one belongs to the celestial family, to have the same purpose as mine, to want my same will, to dwell in it as in one's own home, to work in order to make it known. And if one speaks, one can say nothing but what is done and wanted in our celestial family. This creature is recognized in clear notes, and from all sides, and with reason, and with justice, and by right, as a daughter who belongs to us, as the one from our family who has not decayed from her origin, who preserves within herself the image, the manners, the bearings, the life of her Father, of He who created her. So, you are the one from my family, and the more you make my will known, the more you are distinguished before heaven and earth as a daughter who belongs to us. On the other hand, when one does not have our same purpose, little he dwells, or not at all, in the royal palace of our will. He keeps making his round, now to some house, now to some vile hovel. He keeps wandering about in the outdoors of passions, doing acts unworthy of his family. If he works, it is in foreign fields. If he speaks, the love, the goodness, the ingenuity, the great purposes of his Father never resound on his lips. So in all his bearing, he cannot be recognized at all as one who belongs to his family. Can this one be called a son of his family? And if he came from it, he is a degenerate son who has broken all the bonds and relations that bound him to his family. Therefore, only the one who does my will and lives in it can be called my child, a member of my divine and celestial family. All others are degenerate children, and as though foreign to our family. And so, when you occupy yourself with my divine fiat, if you speak, if you pray your round in it, you put us in feast, because we feel that it is the one who belongs to us. We feel that it is our daughter who speaks, who prays her round, who works in the field of our will. And for one's own children, doors are left open. No apartment is closed for them, because what belongs to the Father belongs to the children. And in the children is placed the hope of the long generation of the Father. In the same way, in you, I have placed the hope of the long generation of the children of my eternal fiat. My mind continued to think about the supreme will, and I said to myself, but how can it possibly be that by myself alone, this little being so insignificant, as I am good at nothing, I have neither dignity, nor authority, nor superiority, with which maybe I could impose myself? I may diffuse myself, and speak, in order to make this Son of the divine will known, and so be able to form the children of its generation. But while I was thinking of this, my sweet Jesus interrupted my thought, and coming out from within my interior, told me, "My daughter, it is my usual way to do my greatest works first, one-on-one with one creature alone. In fact, my mamma was one, and with her alone I carried out all the work and the great portent of my incarnation. No one entered our secrets, or penetrated into the sacrarium of our apartments to see what was passing between me and the celestial sovereign. Nor did she occupy any position of dignity and of authority in the world. In fact, when I choose, I never look at dignities and superiorities, but I look at the little individual within whom I can look at my will in its face, which is the greatest dignity and authority. Even though she had neither position nor dignity, nor superiority in the low world. Heaven and earth hung upon the height of the little young girl of Nazareth, because she possessed my will. In her hands was the destiny of mankind, and the destiny of all my glory, that I was to receive from the whole creation. So it was enough that the mystery of the Incarnation be formed in my chosen one, the only one, in order for others to be able to receive the good of it. One was my humanity, and from it came the generation of the redeemed ones. Therefore, it is enough to form all the good that one wants within one creature, to be able to have the generation of that good come out, just as one seed is enough in order to multiply by thousands upon thousands the generation of that seed. So all the power, the virtue, the ability that is needed for a creative virtue is in forming the first seed. Once the first is formed, it is like yeast in order to form the generation of it. In the same way, one soul alone is enough for me, who would give me absolute freedom to enclose in her the good I want, and to form in her the sun of the supreme Fiat, in order for this sun to beat down its rays on the surface of the earth, and form the generation of the children of my will. Now you must know that all our greatest works carry within themselves the image of the divine unity, and the more good they are destined to do, the more good they enclose of this supreme unity. See, also in the creation, there are similes of the divine unity, works that, while being single works, do so much good that the multiplicity of our other works altogether do not do as much. Look under the vault of the heavens. One is the sun, but how many goods does it not contain? How many does it not do to the earth? It can be said that the life of the earth depends on the sun. While the sun is one, with its light, it embraces everyone and everything. It carries everything on its lap of light, and it gives a distinct act to each one, according to the variety of things it invests. It communicates fecundity, development, color, sweetness, beauty. Yet the sun is one, while the stars are many, but do not do the great good that the sun does to the earth, though being one. The power of one single act, animated by the creative power, is incomprehensible, and there is no good that cannot come from it. It can change the face of the earth, from arid and deserted into a flowery springtime. The sky is one, and therefore it extends everywhere. Water is one, and even though it seems to be divided in many different points of the earth, forming seas, lakes, and rivers, yet in descending from heaven, it comes down in one form, and there is not one point of the earth in which water does not reside. So the things created by us that carry within themselves the image of the divine unity are those that do more good. They are the most necessary, and the earth could not have life without them. Therefore, my daughter, do not think that you are alone. It is the unity of a great work that I must carry out within you, or that you have no external dignity and authority. This says nothing. My will is more than anything. Its light seems to be mute, but in its muteness it invests the intelligences and makes one speak with such eloquence as to stun the most learned, reducing them to silence. The light does not speak, but allows one to see. It makes one know the most hidden things. The light does not speak, but with its meek and sweet warmth, it warms, it softens the hardest things, the most obstinate hearts. The light contains no seed, no matter. Everything is pure in it. One can see nothing but a wave of refulgent silvery light, but it can penetrate so much as to make the most sterile things generate, develop, fecundate. Who can resist the power of the light? No one. Even the blind, if they do not see it, they feel its warmth. The mute, the deaf, feel and receive the good of the light. Now, who shall be able to resist the light of my eternal Fiat? All of its knowledges shall be more than rays of light of my volition, that shall beat down on the surface of the earth, and penetrating into the hearts, shall bring the good that the light of my will contains and can do. However, these rays must have their sphere from which to start. They must be centered in one single point, from which to arise, in order to form the dawn, the day, the afternoon, and the sunset within hearts, to then rise again. The sphere, the single point, is you. The rays centered in it are my knowledges that shall give fecundity to the generation of the children of the kingdom of my will. This is why I always repeat to you, be attentive, so that not one of my knowledges may be lost. You would cause a ray to be lost from within your sphere, and you cannot even comprehend all the good it contains, because each ray contains its own specialty of good that it must do to the children of my will. And you would deprive me of the glory of that good for my children, and would deprive yourself also of the glory of spreading one more ray of light from your sphere. December 24th, 1926. Laments and sorrows because of the privation of Jesus. Pains of Jesus in the maternal womb. The one who lives in the divine will is like a member bound to the creation. I felt all in restlessness because my sweet Jesus was not coming. But while I was raving, I would speak nonsense. And in the intensity of my sorrow, I kept repeating, Jesus, how you have changed. I would never have believed that you would reach the point of depriving me of yourself for so long. But while I was pouring out my sorrow, sweet Jesus came as a little child, and throwing himself into my arms, he said to me, My daughter, tell me, and you, have you changed? Do you perhaps love someone else? Do you no longer want to do my will? These questions of Jesus cut me to the quick. And sorry, I said. Jesus, what do you mean by this? No, I have not changed, nor do I love or know any other love. And I would love to die rather than not do your most holy will. And Jesus sweetly added, So you have not changed. Well then, my daughter, if you, who have a nature subject to changing, have not changed, could I myself change, who am unshakable? Your Jesus does not change, be sure of this, nor can he change. I remained confounded, and did not know what to say. And he added, all goodness, Do you want to see how I was in the womb of my sovereign mamma, and what I suffered within her? Now, while he was saying this, he placed himself inside of me, in the middle of my breast, lying flat, in a state of perfect immobility. His little feet and hands were so stretched and immobile as to arouse pity. He lacked the space to be able to move, to open his eyes, to breathe freely. And what was most harrowing was to see him in the act of dying continuously. What pain to see my little Jesus die. I felt myself placed together with him in that same state of immobility. Then, after some time, little baby Jesus, squeezing me to himself, told me, My daughter, my state in the maternal womb was so very painful. My little humanity had perfect use of reason and of infinite wisdom. Therefore, from the very first instant of my conception, I comprehended all my sorrowful state, the darkness of the maternal prison. I had not even a glimmer of light. What a long night of 9 months! the narrowness of the place that forced me into perfect immobility, always in silence. Nor was it given to me to wail or to sob, so as to pour out my pain. How many tears did I not shed in the sacrarium of the womb of my mamma, without making the slightest movement. And this was nothing. My little humanity had taken on the commitment to die so many times in order to satisfy divine justice for as many times as creatures had made the divine will die within them, committing the great affront of giving life to the human will, making a divine will die in them. Oh, how these deaths cost me. To die and to live and to die. This was the most harrowing and continuous pain for me. More so, since even though my divinity was one with me and inseparable from me, in receiving these satisfactions from me, it would take the attitude of justice. And although my humanity was holy and pure, it was the little lamp before the immense sun of my divinity. And I felt all the weight of the satisfactions that I was to give to this divine sun, and the pain of decayed humanity that was to rise again in me at the cost of so many deaths of mine. It was the rejection of the divine will by giving life to one's own will that formed the ruin of decayed humanity. And I was to keep my humanity and my human will in a continuous state of death, so that the divine will might have continuous life in me, in order to extend in me its kingdom. From the moment I was conceived, I thought about and occupied myself with extending the kingdom of the supreme Fiat within my humanity, at the cost of giving no life to my human will, in order to make decayed humanity rise again, so that once this kingdom would be founded within me, I might prepare the graces, the necessary things, the pains, the satisfactions that were needed in order to make it known and to found it in the midst of creatures. Therefore, everything you do, that which I do in you for this kingdom, is nothing other than the continuation of what I did from the moment I was conceived in the womb of my mamma. So if you want me to carry out the kingdom of the eternal Fiat within you, let me be free and never give life to your will. After this, I continued my acts in the eternal volition, and sweet Jesus added, "My daughter, my will is the soul, and all creation is the body for it. And just as the soul is one in the body, one is its will, while the body has many different senses, and like many different keys, each one of them performs its own little sonata. and each member exercises its distinct office. However, there is such order and harmony among them that when one member exercises its office, all the other members are all intent on the operating member, and they suffer together if that member suffers, and they enjoy if that member enjoys, because one is the will that moves them. One is the strength that they possess. Such is the whole creation. It is like a body animated by my will. And even though each created thing does its distinct office, they are so united among themselves as to be more than members to the body. Since it is my will alone that animates them and dominates them, one is the strength that they possess. Now, the one who does my will and lives in it is a member who belongs to the body of creation, and therefore she possesses the universal strength of all created things, excluding not even that of her Creator. Because my will circulates in the veins of all creation as more than blood within the body, a blood that is pure, holy, vivified with light, and that reaches the point of spiritualizing the body itself. The soul is all intent on all creation, to do what it does, to be in communication with all of its acts. And all creation is intent on her, to receive her acts, because the office, the little sonata of this member in the midst of it, is so beautiful that all are intent on listening to her. Therefore, the living in my will is the most happy and indescribable destiny. Her acts, her point of origin, are always toward heaven. Her life is in the midst of the spheres. You have reached the end of the Book of Heaven, Volume 20, Part 14. Fiat.